Welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. Today, for episode 91, we look at why dads lose their cool, the reason behind your triggers. So, what is it as a dad that could be triggering you? There are many different aspects. So I decided I have my opinion, but I also wanted to do a little bit of quick research and add that to today's session live. And you can also go back and find some more things. So I'm Christine Bernard, stress management coach, and more. And we will be talking about those triggers a little bit later on. So, do you ever feel like you snap before you even know what happened? It's not just about stress, it's about hidden triggers. Yes. So take a deep breath, say, oh, phew, it's not just the stress, but there's more to it. So let's go look into that. So we can break the cycle of those triggers and we can stay calm. So in today's episode, as soon as I find the icons here, I will bring that up. Um, Here we go. One of the things that science shows is that fatherhood induces brain changes. Did you know that because you're a father, it brings about changes? There's lots of studies done on moms, but there's very few done on dads. So becoming a father will bring about some significant neurological changes in their preliminary findings. That's what they're talking about. So, the studies are showing that new fathers can experience increased activity in the brain regions associated with emotional processing, empathy, decision making, such as the amygdala. And if you've been following, I love talking about the amygdala, that part of the brain that sends you into the survival mode, the prefrontal cortex, which is your reasoning, and the anterior cingulate cortex zones. These changes will bring or will enhance your response to your child's needs, but they can also heighten emotional sensitivity, potentially leading to quicker reactions under stress. So maybe before you had your child, you weren't quick, but now it's like the triggers are triggering you more than they used to. There are solutions. But before I talk about these solutions, I also want to mention there's another aspect, the hormonal, let me bring that up. There we go. Hormonal influences on your behavior. So these hormonal shifts, they come with the transition into fatherhood. So there'll be increased levels of oxytocin and prolactin, which promote bonding and caregiving behaviors, while decreasing testosterone levels are associated with reduced aggression. So these hormonal changes will support nurturing behaviors, but can also make you, as a dad, more emotionally reactive. So maybe it's not the trigger, maybe it's also the hormones, especially when you're faced with stressors or the challenges of parenting, lack of sleep, right? That often comes with new parenting with newborns because they are not sleeping full nights, are they? And you've got to get to work with a full brain, and there we go. So, another aspect to look at is the role of your experience and how involved you are with your child's care. That will influence your brain's responsiveness. So they found that fathers who spend more time caring for their children show greater activation in brain areas related to empathy and understanding others' emotions. Isn't that interesting? So, this increased activation can enhance parenting skills, but may also lead to heightened emotional reactions if not managed effectively. This is the research I found. Now, I will bring my knowing from being a master EFT practitioner. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And there are many different things to think about. I always look at what the trigger is and directly the emotions that are related to that trigger. How did you feel? How does your body feel? Because when you can become aware of all of this, and is it a behavior that you have seen happen with your parents were that way when you were a child, and then you unconsciously or more unwilling, I would say, unwillingly end up doing that exact same thing as your parents used to do, and you had promised yourself you wouldn't do that. That is also a possibility. So let's take a deep breath. And I've given you like different aspects to look at because there's also like a belief system that we bring in from what our parents told us and what helps us bond with our child or bring a fear between that bonding. And because in our brain there's this unconscious uh, hamster wheel, if we will, going on saying, hey, you know, I don't know what your dad could have said. You got to work hard and pay the bills. And because you're the dad, that's your role and that's your only role. Forget about the kids. Well, in today's society, that is not true. Maybe you're the dad staying at home and you've got this rolling around in your head and you've got this part of you that's um, unhappy or disconnected to your child unconsciously because of this belief that's running in the back of your head. So it's super important um, to become aware of what your triggers are so that you can take action to make some shifts for you and your children and your spouse, right? Having children, I can tell you, brings out, even though I had been teaching for many years when I had my children, it brought up a whole other can of worms that I needed to deal with and did not because I didn't have the support. I didn't have the knowing that I have today. And, I asked my children to forgive me for how I acted and reacted with them. And thank goodness they're amazing kids. And they've said, oh, no worries, mom. But that did hurt when you said this or when you did this, right? So if you have young kids, this is the best time. If you have teens, this is the best time to start taking care of you. So the childhood experiences shape emotional reactions. In a classroom setting, you get to see 25 to 30 children every year, and if you're doing more than one subject, well, you're seeing 100 of them sometimes per day. So, and we get to meet the parents and we get to see and observe how some children have a lot of emotional reactions and others can stay calm and stable. Well, when you meet the parents, we usually understand. I still remember thinking once when met the parents of this child that we wanted to him to settle down and learn emotional regulation, which we didn't really have much of that at that time in the schools. And well, the parents weren't able to emotionally self-regulate. So in my opinion, the emotional self-regulation is the number one. I've talked to heart coaches, well-renowned. Anilala is an amazing heart coach. She is super well-renowned and comes back to self-regulation. So EFT is an excellent way to self-regulate, but it's a longer process. It's a whole protocol. However, I created something super short, and those of you who've been following know it. Snap, tap, relax the shoulders, and zap. If you can start noticing what is triggering you, sometimes you might want to ask your spouse, what do you think triggered me? I got so angry. I don't know why. Of course, if it's your hormones, you need to go see the doctor, right? Or a naturopath, whatever your best way of doing this. But these changes in your brain have to do with being a dad. So it brings changes, not just for moms, but for dads as well. And even this research is kind of preliminary. It's really important to just say, hey, can some of the changes happening in me be because I have a new child? And the answer seems to be quite obviously yes. However, they're going to continue the research and you can find out more. So it says here it's only recently that psychologists have fully recognized that fathers, like mothers, are at risk of depression after their children are born. So far, less than mothers in the preliminary research. There's another one. So, why would this bring a depression? In the world of EFT, I have learned and understood through my personal experience that depression comes from the pressure we put on ourselves. If you need to if you need help to release that pressure, give me a quick call. We'll see if I can support you on that. But if you can release the pressure you are putting on yourself to be the best dad or your spouse, the best parent, well, that can affect the whole dynamic. And we know that little infants bond. They need to feel our skin. They need to feel close to our calm hearts. Yee, not always easy especially if it's well, if it's the first or, however many children you have, it's still you're juggling so many things. And if you're sleep deprived, well, obviously it will be a challenge. So, without further ado, um, practice the snap, tap, zap. You can go back to some of the other episodes if you haven't practiced it with us. It's always very nice to be able to just quickly calm down the amygdala, which is that part of the brain that goes into survival mode. So it's not that it's dangerous, it's your brain believes there's a danger. Okay. And that's what triggers you. So it's really often on the unconscious level that it all happens. So I would also, before I go, I'd like you to share what's one situation that always pushes your buttons. drop it down below so that we can share, we can talk. If you're too shy, you can write to me privately, DM me privately. That will work. So if you want to stop reacting and start leading, let's work together. You can book a free discovery call, and I will be happy to support you. So, on this, wishing you, oh, I forgot to say, tomorrow I believe I have a guest. Let me check that out. Oh, I thought I did. Well, if I do, I will write it in the chat because I'm not seeing that right now. So give me another second. I can find this. Yes, I do have a guest. Mark will be here. And Mark likes to connect uh, neuroscience and quantum physics. So it will be very interesting. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And until then, have a great day. Breathe. Tap if you need to calm the survival mode. If you don't know what's going on and your head is going, yeah, just breathe and tap to calm down your amygdala, be present, and I wish you the best. And you've got this, dads. I know you can. I believe in you. It's time to step into your inner wisdom and be the best version of yourself. Take great care.